Hey, what's up, everybody? So, I'm gonna be giving my review on Queen and Slim. I went to see the movie maybe I think about what two days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Like, it was not what I expected. It was not. It was not. Um, I was interested in seeing the movie way before the movie actually came out. When I saw the trailer like a while back, I was like, yo, that movie looks lit. I want to go see that. You know what I mean? And they painted the movie originally, at least from what I gathered from it, from seeing like the coming attractions prior to it, like it was some sort of like love story. Like I was like, yes, black love. I'm with it. I'm for it, right? I go to see the movie. I was so disappointed. There were so many different scenes within the movie to where I just wanted to walk out. I legit wanted to walk out. I'm not even gonna like front on y'all. Like, first of all, starting off, okay, they're on a date. Apparently they met each other on Tinder. So I took me some notes here so I can keep track. So I don't want to make this a drawn out video. But yeah, the first starts off in the movie, they're at this diner. They met each other on Tinder. For starters, I felt both the actors were good. Daniel is his real name in real life from Get Out, and what's her name, Jodie. I think she's gorgeous. I just didn't like her character too much in this film, but she's very gorgeous. So they start off in this diner. They're on this date or whatever. She's throwing him mad shade. I'm like, if you wasn't feeling him, leave. You know what I mean? They get pulled over because they're in the car. She's looking through his phone or whatever. I forget why she picks up his phone. Something about the music playlist or something. She picks up his phone because he's driving her home from the diner to take her home after the date. So when he goes to snatch his phone from her, the car swerves, then they get pulled over by the cops. When they get pulled over by the cops, of course, the cops is, being rude, giving him the third degree, like asking him if he's been drinking, this, that, whatever. They're doing the proper protocol, telling the cop, I'm reaching for my wallet, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. She then announces that she's an attorney. Now, the part that gets me with this whole movie is that they put a lot of emphasis on her being an attorney, but the whole time she's suggesting them to do stupid stuff. The way she went about the situation, I felt was very stupid for her being a law professional. And the way the movie ended, to me, made no sense for them even bringing that part up or even making that a part of her character. Like, she could have just been a regular chick with a regular ass job. But how they went about things, how the movie ended, she didn't even get to use none of her law skills to put into practice to fight for any kind of justice. You know what I mean? She was just on the run with this dude she met on Tinder. To me, the storyline was whack. But anywho, so she gets out the car. The cop ends up shooting her in the leg. Slim then ends up shooting the cop. The movie then takes off from there. Now they basically on a run. He initially just wants to like turn himself in, this, that, whatever. Her, the lawyer, decides, no, let's go on the run. They don't know where they're going. They ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? They on a run. They going to now her uncle's house in New Orleans. They're driving from Cleveland, Ohio to New Orleans, wherever. I think that's where he was from. They get there. On their way there, they run out of gas. So you just shot this cop. You guys run out of gas in the middle of nowhere. Then the sheriff picks them up. They see he's a sheriff or whatever, and now they freaking out because then they're like, okay, he knows. Now they go and they put this man in the back of a trunk. After that, they go and they just riding around in this sheriff's car that they stole. They already hot because they shot a cop. Now you in another sheriff's car. Now you look mad guilty. You know what I mean? Then from there, I think it goes into now they hungry or whatever. I don't know about you, but if I was in their position and I was on the run and all that type of craziness, the last thing on my mind would be food. You know what I mean? I would be thinking about like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where to next? The last thing I would be thinking about is trying to eat something, especially so soon. But whatever. Then they bump into this little kid who they sent to go get food for them with the little bit of money that they had. You know what I'm saying? Because they was broke on the run. Then what was stupid was, what I didn't like about the movie was it was a lot of situations that were like unrealistic. Like, who's doing that in real life if they was in that predicament? You know what I'm saying? Like, they stopped to go get the food. You on the run. You just shot a cop. You just stole another cop's car, stuffed him in the trunk. You now feel comfortably to go sit somewhere and eat. I can understand if you was hungry, take the shit to go. Why are you stopping and eating and just chilling like regular? You know what I mean? And then the fact that it was so much shit that was going on, she had the nerve to point out that she couldn't stand the way he made noise when he ate. I was just like, seriously, there's more other shit to be upset about than the noise he makes when he eat. You should be figuring about how y'all gonna escape and basically live through this situation that y'all got yourselves into. But anyway, another stupid thing they did, they accidentally ran over the boy's father who went to get the food for them. So now they using up their gas to drive this man to the hospital for his leg. Going to the hospital, you don't think, like, y'all on the run and you barely have money for the gas you wasting gas to drive this man now to the hospital. Yeah, that's real smart. So then they're on the run, they continue on their run, and now I guess they were this is when they were getting to New Orleans, so they were running out of gas before they got there. Then they stop and they have to go inside this convenience store to try to get gas. So he takes the gun to try to stick the guy up to get gas. The guy behind the counter then tells him, "Oh, can I hold your gun?" What? When I heard that part, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to walk out. This movie is dumb. Like, what are they doing? Like, what's happening? What is happening? He stupidly gives the guy the gun. Then the guy says, let me hold the gun and I'll give you $40 worth of gas. He gives him the gun. Slim gives the guy behind the counter the gun, and then the guy points the gun at him, and then he goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" To me, like, that's dumb. Who's doing that in real life? Like, in real life, who the hell is going to give a person that they're trying to do that to the gun? Like, that's just retarded. Like, I don't understand what was the point of that scene. What were they trying to get out of that? Was it just some silly shit? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Then they get to, the uncle's house or whatever. Finally, they still driving around in the sheriff car. They parked the sheriff car right outside the uncle's house. You know what I'm saying? We find out a little bit more about the Queen's backstory. This is her uncle. He, accidentally killed her mama by pushing her down the stairs or some other crazy shit. So then whatever happens, the uncle gets into a fight with one of his girlfriends, because obviously he's a pimp and he got all these women in his house, and he gets into a fight with one of them, and I guess from the commotion of the fight, somebody called the cops. Cops come, the cops now are drawn attention to this mysterious truck that's in his driveway. So from there, they realize, okay, we got to get out of here. So now they're on the run again. So they back on the run, and while they're on the run, they're supposed to be going to these people's house called the Shepherds. Before they get to the Shepherd's house, they take a detour to go to a cemetery, I believe. No. Actually, before they get to the Shepherd's house, they make a stop to go to this, like this little club, but it's like a bunch of old people, like, and they're getting their groove on, dancing and stuff. It was an interesting scene. And they thought they were safe there because, no, these people don't know him. But they later find out everybody knows them, and they're like kind of like bigging them up about what they did, et cetera, et cetera. So They're now spending more money. Well, they didn't have to spend no money, but initially they were going to spend money to buy drinks, but the lady at the counter recognized them, and it was like drinks on the house type thing. So they took time to stop to go dance. You're on the run. Who's thinking about dancing in real life? Another part, I was just like, what? But whatever. They kept going now. They're supposed to be now on their way to the shepherd's house, which is these people that the uncle hooked them up with. Who's supposed to help them get to Cuba, supposed to get them a plane to get to Cuba. So they get to, on the way to the shepherd's house, Queen decides to detour. Queen decides to detour because she wants to go see her, visit her mom's grave or whatever. So they're like in Savannah, Georgia or something like that. So she goes to visit her mom's grave, and then she tells the whole story about her mom, how her mom passed, and it's all like an emotional thing. Another part that was weird, okay, now, the sex scene was very realistic. Okay, it was dope. It was bomb. It was cool, all that. But it was just kind of weird to me. Like, they were having sex, like, in a graveyard. Not too far from her mom's grave. Like, I don't know. That was kind of weird to me. It was a little bit weird. And then at the same time that was happening, they were also... Okay, so before... Let me backtrack back. So... before they got to this point, before they got to all of that, their car had broke down. So when their car had broke down, they had to go to this mechanic. It was a black guy. He was the only black person that they had came across at this time who didn't appreciate what they had did. And he was like, I didn't think what you guys did was cool. And he even charged them like mad money to fix their car. I feel like he was like overcharging them, if you ask me. But they basically gave up all their money that they had to get that car fixed. So while they was getting the car fixed, he sent them off with their son, and then with his son, and his son was like idolizing him. So then fast forward when they was in the graveyard and stuff, and they was doing their little thing or whatever. While they was doing that, the son was at the protest, and while he was at the protest, he was riding and stuff. So they're showing the protest and the riding at the same time that they're pretty much getting their groove on in the graveyard. And like while they're busy doing that, this boy shoots a black cop in the face, and then he ends up getting killed. So then that's that. So then from that scene, they finally make it to the shepherd's house. They get to the shepherd's house, and when they get to the shepherd's house, it's like broad daylight. They're in this flashy car, this colorful ass clothes, and they showing up in these people's house, and it's like a particular kind of neighborhood, right? And so one of the neighbors across the street sees them, calls the cops or whatever. So they're in the house. The guy, he's willing to help them, this, that, whatever. They was going to stay the night, whatever. The wife, she wasn't cool with it, so it looks like at first that she was going to snitch on him. But she didn't, right? So while they're at the dinner table eating, then there's like, you see like a bunch of troopers or cops or something like running on the long side of the building, like alongside of the house. So you see like their shadows. So then they're like, run, go upstairs and hide or whatever. So my thing with this part here was another situation where I was ready to walk out. So they quickly run upstairs, and we don't know where they're hiding at first. But you see, like, the cops is going upstairs, they're tearing the house apart, trying to look for them. They can't find them. Later we find out they're underneath the floor. But when you see the process of them trying to get from underneath the floor, you're like, how the hell did they put that hard-ass puzzle of a floor together that fast? I was like, this ain't real life. Even though I do know it's a movie, but it's just like, come on now. So then now, the next day, they're like, we can't stay under this floor forever. So what's the name? Queen is like, you know what? I'm getting out of here. So then they got this plan. They're going to jump out the window. So they jump out the window, and freaking Queen ends up dislocating her shoulder or whatever. So then they go into the backyard. It's like a driveway or something. So they find, what's his name? Slim finds a screwdriver to get the car started. But then before they do that, he helps put her shoulder back in place. He snaps it back in place for her. So she has to hold back her scream, but she lets it out a little bit. But there's still like cops and stuff surrounding the house. So one of them hears it. It's a black cop. So he goes, checks it out. But then you think that he's going to like drop down on them, but he doesn't. He lets them go. So then they continue on, right? They leave, they get out of there, they make their way now to go to some person that they're supposed to find that's supposed to get them a plane to Cuba. So they driving. Another thing I didn't understand about the movie, they was driving all over the place, right? These Negroes ain't had no type of GPS or nothing. So I'm like, how the hell do they know where the F they're going? I'm sorry, but people could give you all the directions in the world, but if you ain't never been somewhere, and it's like, they literally driving from like state to state. People get lost following for freaking MapQuest. These niggas they're following a freaking hand-drawn map with directions from someone, and they didn't get lost not one time. I don't know, it just wasn't believable. So they pull up at this place and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go to sleep. I don't know, me personally, if I was in this situation, I don't know how anybody could even sleep, because if I'm even stressed out about the littlest thing, who was thinking about sleep? There's people who are looking for you and got money on your head, $250,000 a piece with the shepherd soda, and you thinking about going to sleep in some random middle of nowhere place where somebody could find you, and it could pretty much be a wrap for y'all. But anyway, they wake up and this guy with gold teeth finds them, and they're thinking, okay, maybe this is the dude. But it turns out it's not the dude, but they think he is, and he's telling them to come with him. He has a gun and stuff like that, so they go with him. The whole time they think that he's cool because he kinfolk, so they think, you know, he's helping us. He gonna hook us up. They follow him. When they follow him, they go and find out he makes a call. So he's like, all right, the plane is not gonna be ready till tomorrow. They're like, no, we need to leave today. He calls whoever he called back, which I believe was the cops. He calls them back, and they're like, okay, in an hour. So he's like, well, we gotta drive there. So he drives them there. On the way they driving there, they're vibing and listening to music, they're smoking, you know what I'm saying, becoming like the best of friends. Dude drops them off, and I noticed when he drops them off, like, he's out of there like fast. They see the plane right in front of them. They go towards the plane, they like start running, and then the police come. They immediately stop. In my mind, I'm like, why did they not keep running? Because the police were still driving, like nobody was out the car yet. I was like, if they would have picked up speed, they might have could have made it. You know what I'm saying? But I just didn't like how it ended, because obviously we know how it ended. For those who didn't maybe watch it, I mean, most of the stuff I gave, I feel like was kind of like spoiler alerts anyway, but I'm not going to say how it ended. We all know how it ended, but I feel like we're tired of seeing movies like that, and the way that they hyped this movie up, they made it seem like it was going to be a different kind of ending. I felt like the overhype of saying that that Queen was a lawyer and all this type of stuff, none of that came into play with anything. I feel like it was pointless to even mention that. From the beginning of the movie, I thought if anything that maybe they would have went to trial or something, or they would have probably tried to execute them, because I remember in the beginning of the movie she kept talking about how her client ended up getting executed, because apparently in Cleveland it's a state where it's still a thing. So I was like, maybe her client, maybe they might have drawn the movie there to where it would have, went back to that part of the movie to where it could say like, okay, they're on trial now for possibly getting executed or whatever. But she works as their lawyer, even though she was on trial too or something, and she helps to fight the case and shows about the injustice and how it made some kind of change in history, or just something like a different kind of narrative. But the way that they went out, it was like it was all this build up throughout the whole movie. I literally was on the edge of my seat, even though I was ready to leave like at least 4 or 5 times throughout this movie. But I was like, no, I want to see how it ends. And I was so disappointed as I felt some kind of way at the end. I felt kind of emotional. I felt mad. I felt angry. I felt upset because it was not what I was expecting this movie to be. Granted, I understand like it is a movie, but with that being said, with it being a movie, that means they have the opportunity as being the writer to be able to paint whatever picture they want to paint. So my thing was, why paint that kind of picture? We've already seen that picture too many times, if you live in certain kinds of neighborhoods or from certain kind of neighborhoods, that's like an everyday thing that unfortunately that you have to keep witnessing or seeing. It's very traumatic. Like, why would you want to continue to highlight that? Why not paint a different narrative, a different point of view on the situation? That was just my thoughts. Like, outside of that, I wasn't too fan of the movie, like how it ended. I thought the actors they chose were good. Queen is pretty. I mean, Daniel, he's an attractive guy. I just didn't. The cinematography was good. I wasn't too crazy about the fashion choices. The uncle had the flyest outfits. I'm sorry. That's Bukim for buying an uncle. He had the flyest outfits. Everything else was kind of like, blah. The storyline sucked, in my opinion. It was like too many holes, too many unnecessary scenes, too many things that didn't make sense, too many things that was just, to me, dumb. I feel like it could have been way better. But that's my review on Queen and Slim. And now I'm out because I gotta go to work. Bye.